Hey, the Urban League is one of the oldest, not the oldest, civil rights and social justice organizations in the country. It was actually founded in 1910 by a rich white lady who was heir to a railroad fortune, and a black man who was a social worker. And so they were both into social justice back in 1910. If you think about what was happening in 1910, we had the big migration of black and brown folks moving from the south
To the north.
to the north. There were no protections, there were no social services at the time. And to be honest, some of the women in particular were being taken advantage of as far as not being paid on the job, as far as the work conditions. And so these two joined forces, white woman, black social worker, joined forces, and that was the genesis of the Urban League of the Urban League, the National Urban League. And the way we're structured, people notice the National Urban League symbol, have it on my lapel, the equal sign. The way that the Urban League is structured is that we have affiliates. We have about 90 affiliates across 37 states and the District of Columbia. And you can look at the affiliates as being the boots on the ground. And Richmond has a very rich history of being connected with the Urban League as an affiliate. It's one of the oldest affiliates in the country, formed in 1913. And some very distinguished people have been leaders within the Urban League movement here in Richmond, including Oliver Hill, just to name one. And so actually being a worker within the Urban League. So the Urban League really stands on empowerment. So we're trying to get the word out that Urban League equals empowerment. We're not talking about any kind of gift or whatever. We're talking about ways in which we can empower Black and brown people to make a difference within their community. And there are actually 5 pillars, just real quick, that we talk about. One is community advocacy.
And that's what a lot of people know, the urban, being like the Urban League in Philly, that's the advocacy part that's what we sort of know the Urban League for.
Right. And so we advocate for, some of the other parts and pieces, health disparities, voter registration. So it's a wide range of things that we advocate for across the community, especially in the Black and brown communities. We also are built on the Small Business Accelerator. And so what do we mean by that? Well, here in Richmond, organizations like NBL doing a fantastic job. We're actually members of NBL. But we think that, we can also bring something to the party as we bring these 5 pillars into effect within Greater Richmond. So not only are we advocating for social justice in particular, but we're also advocating for people to start their own businesses, to be capitalists, to be more entrepreneurial in their dealings. The third area is workforce development. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but it's about having a trained workforce, be it in the crafts, which people are moving back to, or being college educated. We're connecting with HBCUs. We've always been connected with HBCUs, and I'll talk about a particular initiative in a few minutes. The fourth area is in housing and counseling. And so that goes along with, owner occupancy, not just renting, but financial literacy around that. And we partner with a number of banks and other financial institutions to talk about and to promote and to advocate for economic empowerment through economic literacy and wealth building. So that's the fourth. And then the fifth one is health empowerment and advocacy. So talking to Mike, talking to you a little bit earlier, and to some other folks about the city of Petersburg, for example. It traditionally gets rated low on the scale of healthy communities. And it just shocked me that people in Petersburg, on average, live 13 years less than people across the state of Virginia. A lot of that's due to a number of different causes. It could be violence, it could be some other things, but it also has to do with some health disparities. And so we work to eliminate those as we advocate for Black and brown people. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, what the Urban League is about.
All right. Well,